Hello, beautiful souls. Let's have a look at what message is waiting for us today. So I was drawn to doing this reading with no specific intention other than there was a message that was really wanting to come out. And while I was meditating on the decks, some of the key messages I got was the first word was transcend. Sorry, I just went into such a weird cosmic mental moment there. So I'm just kind of getting back into my body a little bit while still trying to maintain being a good channel for the information to come through. So there was definitely a message about transcending, and a lot of themes around that being, if you think about the caterpillar that morphs into the butterfly, the phoenix that has to essentially light up and become its own ashes so that it can be born again, renewed, but still maintaining all the wisdom. So those are the things coming through for transcend. I'm going to be doing a kind of recent past, the current energies that we're feeling or experiencing, or it might still be coming, and then the near future and what we can keep in mind as we move forward. So thank you for joining. If you are here, I'm pretty sure that there is a message for you. And yep, I hope it resonates. Whatever doesn't resonate, please leave that behind. Whatever does resonate, please please do have some good perspective about it. Okay, so immediately we're looking at, interesting energy. So immediately we've got the Hierophant, and this is all about big lessons. It's about learning. It's about kind of coming into your own sense of knowing. The Hierophant and maybe that's why I was having that like cosmic mental moment there, but the Hierophant is really leveraging the knowledge that is available to us, the wisdom that is available to us when we go within. So this is what I'm really getting here, and it's about being ready to love and learn. Along with this, we've got the Tower. So the Tower will really represent, these individuals being in a tower, and the foundations of this tower are no longer sustaining. There are certain aspects of this tower that is no longer sustaining the overall structure, the longevity of it, the safety of it. So essentially what happens is that the lightning strikes the tower so that the individuals can leave the tower, because if they don't leave, then everything's just going to come crashing down. So that's one way to look at the Tower card. The message here is that I surrender and know how to go forward, and that is exactly what the Tower card represents. Is it's telling us that we need to look at where we need to surrender, and that flows really nicely with the Hierophant, because this is all about being ready to love and learn, and usually this happens right after we go through a Tower moment. So let's get a little bit further clarification on the recent past. As we move into our current energy, we've got the Six of Pentacles. So there's really a theme about reciprocity. I really love the energy of this card, because it's about give and take. It's about, wherever you're giving, you also need to be receiving. And some of us might be giving a lot, and it's very hard for us to receive. We sometimes will go through these lessons in life where the only option that we have is to receive. So I think we're also at a point, and for those of you who are watching this, and for those of you who this resonates with, may have been a really difficult time, particularly with the Tower energy and having to learn really big things, but now coming to a point of actually saying, well, what is equal, what is fair? If I'm going to give all of this, what am I getting back? How do I start giving back to myself also? And essentially, again, with this ready to love and learn, this is also about, I've learned the hard lessons, and it's a choice, right? We have to look at things and say, what are the lessons there? How do I improve? How do I improve my approach next time by integrating that lesson into a truly deep sense of knowing? So we can say that at this stage, we're looking at what is really going to be something that works for both me and the other, you know, whether that's another person, a situation. It can refer to so many different things, but there's definitely this energy right now. And as we move into the future, there's, you know, a couple of different energies there, but I don't want to move there just yet. I'm just going to stay over here with the Tower and the Hierophant. So these that have jumped out for us over here, the first one is Protect the Wild and Green. So this card is talking about an earth warrior. The theme behind this card is really, you know, you are someone that is on earth that is trying to protect what is sustaining you. And that's very much kind of the energy that we were talking about now with the Six of Pentacles, is making sure I give and receive for the universal good. The Ace of Swords in this card actually goes really well, but a new day does dawn. Remember that once we've come through this, and as I was talking about the transcending, you know, going from a caterpillar into a butterfly, a new day is dawning. There are new breakthroughs ahead of you once you've actually gone through, you know, a big level, a big, shall I call it, a big component of that transformation. We're always transforming, and we should always be transforming. But this is really in the recent past, we've had to look at how do we actually protect what is sustaining us. It may have been a little bit of a battle for us, and we can't say that that battle's over. You know, we've got the Five of Wands here, which is very much a protective energy and standing your ground. We'll read into that in just a few minutes. But this is all about, you know, you have been in some energy of protecting what is sustaining you. And it's coming into a space of a new day dawns, right? This card is in the current energy. So it's all about how we've been moving through that. We've also maybe had to face our fears. We've had to actually understand what some of those fears are, because this is in the recent past, and it's also accompanied by the Tower card as well as the Hierophant, which is all about learning and lessons, right? When we go through those difficult things, there are fears that are illuminated to us during those processes, during those stages, during the experience of going through something really challenging and something really new. And we've also possibly had to just learn how to balance, you know, need and necessity. What is it that I want and what is it that I truly need? You know, this is just us getting to know ourselves a lot better as well. So this is always going to be an incredibly important thing for us to engage in with ourselves. So let's see how we're moving into the current energy right now. I'm going to go with this Dream Oracles deck and get some clarification on those for us over here. But, you know, as I said, we've got the Six of Pentacles. Just one or two cards, please, for it. We've got the Six of Pentacles, which is all about giving and receiving. It's about a energy exchange. It can't just be one way. It's got to be reciprocal. It's got to be, it's got to keep flowing in both ways. So the first card that we have that's really interesting is the Baby's card, but this is all about nurturing. This is nurturing energy. So what it says on the card is, what do you need to nurture and or develop? And in what ways do you feel vulnerable? Are you feeling overwhelmed by responsibility? So really, I mean, this is exactly what we're coming out of. So of course we're feeling really overwhelmed. We might have a level of responsibility, either that we've put upon ourselves, or that we actually do have, that we have responsibility to protect something or someone or a situation. So it's coming into this current energy. We might still be processing quite a bit of this. And then the next card that we've got is Games. And this one says, do you feel that you need more fun and play in your life? Is someone playing games in your working or personal life? Do you need a game plan to improve your status or direction? So for me, this card is really signifying, you know, if we look at these two that we have here, this is our recent past energy. So coming out of a space of having to protect and having to be a warrior. And now we're going into a space of lifting the sword in a new way. We're ready to move forward. We're heading forward in a positive and solid direction. I mean, we don't always know what's happening out there, but if we do continue to nurture ourselves and nurture our vision, you know, we will get there. So perhaps this is really a call for some of you to actually just remember that as much as we're working really hard towards something, we also definitely need to take the time to play, to relax, to unwind. Let's actually get some clarification, and I'm going to go with the crystal deck over here. So let's get some clarification. That was pretty quick. So, okay, the message on this card, and this is all about cleansing, enthusiasm, and self-motivation. The message here is drawing this card indicates it's a time to add some energy and drive to achieving our dreams. How can you bring a sense of enthusiasm and expansiveness into your purpose? So definitely a call for us to think about how we bring enthusiasm, just getting that to focus, how we bring enthusiasm into what we're actually currently actively trying to pursue. Where we potentially are feeling a little bit overwhelmed and we're saying, oh my gosh, there's like so much going on. Let's think about how do we simplify, right? Let's use this new sword and let's cut away the things that are not helping us move forward. I'm going to get one or two more cards for the current situation. So the first one that's popped up is that, okay, it's interesting because this also came up this morning in the short that I did. So it is time to release negativity. As I mentioned, when we're going through this transformation, when we're releasing the old so that we can make space for the new, it's important to release any negative ways of thinking or mindsets or patterns or behaviors. And obviously those things take time, right? And that might also leave you feeling really overwhelmed, really vulnerable. But remember that we're doing this for ourselves. It is to enrich our own personal lives. The other message that I wrote down on the board is to acknowledge your will and what a powerful force it is, and to have a look at the progress. So that's why I'm doing kind of recent, past, current, and future, so that we can actually have a look at what is it that we've gone through, where are we now, and how do we move forward? Like, what are the things that we need to know about moving forward? But the one thing that really came through was about acknowledging your will. Your willpower is such an incredibly powerful force. You know, there's days where you might wake up and you just have been through it all and you don't know how you're going to move forward. You don't know what the answers are. You don't know what the solutions are. Sometimes you don't even know what the questions are, right? But somehow you push through it, you move through it, and that's your willpower. That is absolutely your willpower. So acknowledge your will, but also have confidence in yourself. So for our current situation right now, confidence is going to be key to your success. And this is really, for me, a message about having a sense of confidence in yourself. I was with a group of friends earlier today, and it's always such an amazing conversation. And we were talking about how you are just your own guiding light, and you need to have confidence within yourself, because then you can take on big new things and not be living in total fear of them, right? And that's how we grow. That's how we grow. So let's have a look at as we move into the kind of near future. I think before I actually touch onto those, I just want to grab one of these. That's going to give us a little bit more context about how we are transitioning into this future state. Remember that everything is down to the choices that we make. Everything comes down to the choices that we make. So this is purely guidance. I'm not someone that predicts the future. This is just energies that we can look out for in our future, or things that we might need to know as we move into the future. And it's just general guidance around maintaining a certain level of awareness, consciousness, and sometimes needing to adjust our perspective. So, okay, this is the first card that's popped up over here. And the message on this card is that this signifies a need to identify those with whom you have a soul contract. Go beyond the needs of the ego and work at a spiritual level until the lesson or task is complete. Okay, so this is also a theme that's been coming up quite a bit. And sometimes as we're moving through life, right, where we're letting go of the past, we're trying to figure out the current as well as trying to go into the future in a really great way, we sometimes are not even aware of where we need to release certain things. So again, when it comes to releasing negativity, this could definitely talk about somewhere where you might have a soul contract, where perhaps you think that something has been concluded. Perhaps you had, your own little ritual to say goodbye and let go. But healing occurs over a period of time. Healing something so that we can let go of it and so that it no longer has any power over us or hurts us anymore. That happens over time, right? That's not something that can ever just happen really quickly. So we also need to remember that maybe there are still certain things that we haven't let go of, that we might be overlooking. And let's have a look at what that possibly could be. I'm just a little bit curious about what that possibly could be. Okay. So the first one is embrace the masculine. So it could mean that there's a masculine figure in your life for some of you. Obviously, this is general reading, so it could relate to everybody in a very different way. So there could be a masculine figure in your life where you might think you've resolved something, but if you really go deep down inside, you know that maybe things are still not resolved. Maybe there's this thought of something that you still wanted to do to kind of wrap things up and tie things up there. So this could be the potential energy, but also remember that the masculine is the doer. So within each of us, we have a feminine and a masculine energy. The feminine energy is the one where we are nurturing. We are taking care of the things that we are trying to bring to fruition. The masculine energy is where we put that into action. It brings logic, it brings action, it brings structure. So the masculine energy, I'm just going to put that down for a second. So the masculine energy is the doer. And maybe there's something that we have done that we feel, you know, we may not have been very happy about, because the next one that's popped up is to respect your boundaries. So as we are moving forward and we are trying to think of soul contracts that might be actually holding us back, these are the clarification cards for the soul contract cards. So something to do with boundaries, and this is going to resonate differently for everybody, but there's definitely something to do with boundaries, and that comes in many forms: emotional, physical, psychological. I mean, just boundaries are things that, you know, a lot of people were never brought up learning much about, other than certain other, you know, the obvious boundaries. But we need to think about other areas of our lives where we may not have considered boundaries. So I have an energetic boundary, and where I have been to places before where there's just really not a good energy, I don't go there, because I don't feel like I want to unnecessarily expose myself to that energy, unless, you know, I feel so for me, there's boundaries. There's people that I know who on an energetic level are incredibly draining for me. I have boundaries with how I don't interact with those people. So sure, we absolutely have to live and go with the flow, but we also have to think about what's really depleting us, what's making us feel fear, right? Like what's putting us in a state of fear, or what's putting us in a state of like we need to protect ourselves. I think subconsciously, when you come to a point where you just subconsciously know like you need to protect yourself, that could indicate that there's a need for a boundary there. And then the last one that we have is here, the ancient ones. So this also could be something to do with generational karma. It could be something within your family lineage. Remember, we're talking about soul contracts over here. So this could for some of you be related to family. It could be related to a masculine energy within your life, but it also could be relating to actually the masculine energy itself, which is doing. So it could have been something that you've done or experienced or have been through that you feel was likely a soul contract. How do you move out of that? Maybe there's just something to revisit in that space. The other clarification card for, again, we're getting a clarification card for how we transition into the future, is the diamond, which is really beautiful, of course, multifaceted. You know, when you think about a diamond, the diamond has to go through so much, like in terms of getting it to the point where it's sparkly and beautiful like this. The diamond goes through a lot of roughness, right? I mean, like, that's the best way I can put it right now. The term, diamond in the rough. I thought about it the other day. Like, I was going through like such a really challenging week, and I was like, you know what? This is probably just a situation that's a diamond in the rough kind of a vibe. So let's read the message here. Drawing this card signifies a need to get ready for change. Okay, we're definitely in the space of change. The light will soon illuminate your way forward. Are you ready to make the necessary changes to embrace the new? So remember, we're talking about moving ahead after we go through this tower, after we realize, okay, let's break away from whatever's no longer serving me, we need to know how to move forward. And this is really what this card is signifying, is are we ready to actually embrace the new? Because we're definitely moving into some new amazing things over here. And then the last card we have is the Wolfenite. This card signifies a need. Okay, no, sorry. That was the soul contract card. Wow. Just going to take a quick moment just to ground myself real quick, because there's all of a sudden a lot happening. So even in this Five of Wands energy, which is sitting in our near future energy, you know, there's a lot happening. So some of you might feel a little bit overwhelmed. You might be feeling a little bit like this. What is actually happening? And that's totally okay, because that's kind of the energy right now. We've also just gone through a really rare lunar cycle, and you know, the energy is just in the air. So the last one is the Boji stone. The Boji stone represents duality, balance, cycle, and identity. And definitely the theme of cycle is coming through. I spoke about the caterpillar and the butterfly, the phoenix. So coming through an end of a cycle. So the tower represents, you know, big changes. So this card signifies more balance of the feminine and masculine is required in your life. Work with the feminine and male energies to see where these areas are blocked or unequal. Now, this is, where is that card? I put it back down again, but there we go. It's right at the top of the deck. This is what we were referring to here. So for some of you, it's definitely a call to embrace the masculine. So to focus and then act. Like, what are the things that I'm going to work towards, and how am I going to defend them and work according to those, according to what feels right for me, while trusting that I am safe, that I am protected. This is the Four of Pentacles that's come up for the future. So as we move into that space where we're definitely going to need to continue to protect what it is that we're working for, and that's for ourselves, right? So that we stay focused on it. There's definitely a need to balance out the feminine and the masculine energy. I mean, this is exactly what this card is signifying over here. So these are our transition cards as we are moving into this near future. Thank you. So what else is it that we need to know about moving into this future? We know that we need to stand our ground. We need to look for peace. We need to trust that we're always safe and protected. Let's get some final cards. What else do we need to know about moving in? Okay, that one flew quite far away, but we found it. So one more card as we are stepping into our future. What is it that we need to be keeping in mind? What are the things that we need to keep in mind? No, they said that's it for that. So we'll get one more of these. What are the other things that we need to be keeping in mind as we are stepping into the near future? We know that we need to stand our ground and look for peace. We also need to remember that we are safe and protected always. So the key words on fluorite is spiritual peace, focus, and connection. And this is what I was talking about just now, just saying the focus, then act. Focus, then act is like that King of Swords energy, like the Emperor energy, the masculine energy. That's the masculine energy. So drawing this card indicates that an increase in your ability to focus and achieve objectively. Think of an issue or situation in your life to which you need to bring the power of your mind and your spirit. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. And the next card that's come up is water. What is overwhelming you in your waking life? How are you traveling emotionally in life? Are you struggling to reach your goals? So for me, it's this traveling emotionally in life. The words that popped up was like heavy. We're traveling emotionally heavy. And I think that there's definitely a call for us to actually release some of that emotion that we might still be holding on to. If we've been feeling a sense of frustration for quite some time, if we've been feeling like we have been needing to protect a lot, if we've been feeling like, geez, these lessons, when are they gonna, I'm happy to be learning lessons, but when is it gonna start going easy? When are we gonna start seeing some things just flow a little better, right? Just flow a little better. When we are going through all of that, there's a lot of emotional weight that we tend to carry with us. And especially if we're moving through things really quickly, we're moving on to the next thing that keeps us busy and we're trying to figure that out. Yes, we take the time and we work through it. We absolutely take the time. But there's definitely a sense of overwhelm that is here for us. It's come up now kind of in the current and in the future. And the guidance here is really that we need to think about how we're traveling emotionally in life. How much of that emotion of what we've been dealing with in the recent past are we still carrying with us? What do we need to let go? We need to let go of that, because remember, we're still going to have to stand our ground as we move ahead. The path that is more in alignment with our true core selves, our higher selves intention for us, it's never the easiest path. It's the most worth it, but it's never the most easiest. And during that time, we need to remember our spiritual connection. We need to remember that as we have that ability to focus and act and move forward, we need to stay in touch with spirit. We need to stay in touch with our higher selves. We need to stay within the light, because where things are feeling heavy, where things are feeling overwhelming, that is what's going to bring us the relief. That is what's going to help us feel that actually this has all got its own purpose. And the card that's flipped over is to be honest. This is really important, and I think I was having this exact conversation with my friends a little earlier. It's so hard to move through life so quickly and then find the time to reflect and to truly be honest with yourself. And this is really a piece of guidance for as we go through this change and as we're moving into a new space. We need to be honest with ourselves and stay in alignment. And exactly this is what I was going to say, like, know you belong. Like, know that you are supported. Know that you belong. Know that you are part of this universal magic that we exist in. You belong to yourself, to your higher self. You belong to the greater consciousness. You belong on this planet. You belong at your job where you know you're thriving. If you're in a job where you're not, where you don't feel like you're thriving, where you feel like they don't value you, you know, you got to decide, how does that work for you, and what steps do you take? How do we actually embrace something new? And doesn't mean you have to go find a new job, but maybe it's a new way of showing up, a new way of having conversations. But knowing that you belong is an incredibly important thing to remember. We also, and I really enjoy this card as well, because I always refer to this beautiful little ball as the light inside of us. And we need to protect our light inside of us. We need to nurture all that we love, yes, but ourselves, so that our love comes from a place of nurturing. So there's definitely something that needs to be sacrificed, and this is about this releasing the negativity. And I think I just want to get a clarification real quick on those. Okay, Spirit, make the sacrifice, release negativity. What is it that needs to be released? What is it that needs to be sacrificed? Okay, so we've spoken about transformation multiple times. And again, when we talk about transformation, it's about what do we need to release? And the message here is commit to acting on new ideas and longings, right? New ideas. Take a leap of faith and begin again. And that's what we're doing. We're ready to move ahead. Communication is the next one that came up. So what are you having difficulty communicating? Do you feel emotionally disconnected? And what is not working smoothly in your life? And I think this very much comes down to the general energy of us going through this transformation. I mean, we've got the tower over here, and the tower represents a really big transformation in our lives. It represents all of the old that we know it as kind of just coming to this big, like, it's crashing down. Like what we think we knew is crashing down. We're seeing life in a different way, and that's good. That means that we're growing. But it's challenging. It's really challenging. So for me, the guidance here is it's time to release negativity, and it's time to make the sacrifice. It's time to commit to acting on new ideas and longings. So for some of you, you might have been longing to even just go take a trip. And this is what that could mean. Make the sacrifice. If you're thinking that you can't afford the trip, what else can you sacrifice in the short term for you to go on this trip? If you are feeling like you are held back by something or someone, release that. Release that, because that's not helping you progress into something that you're longing for. When we have these longings within us, we need to remember that that is part of our will for ourselves. And then in terms of how we communicate this, right, this is also can also absolutely mean, how do we communicate this with ourselves? Are we telling ourselves, like, you know what, you're actually not worthy of that trip, so don't do the trip, like just keep going on, and you know, something else will happen one day? Or are you saying, you know what, actually you are worthy of that trip, and like, the you know, things won't come to a complete standstill if you just had to like take a few days off. Things won't come to a complete standstill if you just to like sacrifice a little bit of something else so that you can actually make it work. So it's also about how we talk to ourselves, and I feel that this is really the message when it comes to what is it that we need to release, what is it that we need to sacrifice. We need to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves in the way that we communicate with ourselves, and also that we are going through transformation. We definitely are going through transformation. And the last card that we have here is, okay, of course. I just love the sense of humor. So change is unavoidable. And, you know, that's that saying, the one only constant is change. And I think that for the collective that's here, that's getting this, that's watching this, and thank you for joining and for sharing this time with me, and for trusting me with your energy too. But I think for the collective that is here, it's a group of people that understands that we go through change. We understand that there are going to be things in our life that we're going to need to just flow through. Things that are going to make us feel vulnerable. Things that are going to make us feel like it's just a total battle. And we know that in future it's still going to be like that. I think the group of people that are here know that this is this world that we live in, you know, and it's also the choices we make for ourselves. We also got to keep in mind that we've chosen this life for ourselves, and we continue to have choice as we move forward. So what is it that we're going to focus on? What are the things that we're going to actually decide to focus on? So I'm going to leave that there, and I hope that it resonated. Take care.